Hello and welcome to the walk-off, everybody. This is Mailbag. I'm Scott Belfort, joined as always by the best co-host in the biz, Adam Mack. Our Toronto Blue Jays testing the bandwagon jumpers, Adam.
Get out of here.
Right? Oh my goodness. This is a spicy mailbag, by the
More
way.
leg room on the bandwagon. That's what I always say.
Now, we had probably the most interaction we've had over the last week in like a year, maybe not quite. Probably since the off season. Sometimes we have some busy weeks, but we're talking a pile of questions and comments. So I want to just start by saying thank you to everyone who interacted with us over the week. Always appreciate it. Love talking baseball and Blue Jays with all of you grounds crew members. Apologies if you do not get your question or comment on the mailbag. We had hundreds and can only get to about a dozen. So we're doing our best here. Just try again for next week. If you missed out here, of course, if you are a Patreon member, you automatically get your question and comment in. We call it the Patreon bump. We do have a new Patreon member this week, Nick Goodies. Welcome to the group. And of course, that gets you, Nick, automatic entry into the mailbag, instant access to all of our interviews and shows before we release it. We did just sit down and talk with Adam Macko of the Buffalo Bison, the left-handed pitcher, depth piece that probably is going to make his major league debut at some point in 2025 here. That is up on Patreon right now. You also get bonus content in MLB Mondays. We released that yesterday. So if that is what you're after, if you need more Blue Jays content while they're on this hot streak, then Patreon's the way to do it. $4 a month. Thanks to everyone who helps support the channel. Last but not least, before we get into this, Baseball Town. That is coming up August 7th, live at the Liberty Village Left Field Brewery. If you are going to dive into and nerd out about the trade deadline, this is the place to do it. We're expecting a big crowd. It's going to be a lot of fun. From MLB.com, we've got Keegan Matheson, new author and number one on the Canada charts with his franchise book. So definitely check that out. We've got Ben Schulman, play-by-play announcer on the radio for the Blue Jays, Sportsnet. And then we've also got Jesse Rubinoff of the Fan 590. It's going to be a really good little panel there. Tickets only $20 if you use the code BASEBALL. And there you go. We can all hang out and talk this deadline here, August 7th. That's next Thursday. All right. So this is what I kind of did, Adam, and I know I was telling you
Mhm.
this in the preamble here, but there were so many questions and comments. I tried to take comments that numerous people had, right? So like if I'm like, you know what?
If everybody's complaining about Chad Green, pick one that covers that and let's go.
Exactly. And
Right.
that's exactly what we kind of tried to do here. I know that with Sir Anthony Dominguez being acquired yesterday in a really interesting turn of events where he literally walked across the stadium into the Blue Jays bullpen from the Orioles bullpen and then actually pitched in the game yesterday, which is very cool. So I figured we'd touch on that so that we're not using up 12 questions on Sir Anthony Dominguez, but very good bullpen piece out of Baltimore. Warren Watts Brown is who went to the Orioles. We've had him on the podcast. He's in double A right now. He is, I didn't check. I think he is number 11 in the Blue Jays top 30 prospects.
I think he was 10, but yeah, around there, 10,
Somewhere
11,
around
depending on the
there.
date you check it, sure.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what? A decent little piece going to Baltimore with some upside, and the Blue
hmm
Jays bolster that back end of the bullpen. Definitely grab themselves a high end, high leverage reliever, I should say. This is a dude with a 3.16 ERA. He is, where's his whip here? That's the best way to. Okay, so 1.3 whip, strikeout stuff, hits 99, and is going to fit really nicely in there between Yario Rodriguez, Brandon Little, Jeff Hoffman, lengthens that pen and gives you the option to get rid of Chad Green, which is exactly what they did in DFAing him. And Dominguez was kind of cool to watch him literally hugging and talking to members of the Baltimore Orioles in the bullpen in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform. And the way that the bullpen works in Baltimore, they're kind of on top of each other. So you could see him literally like talking over the railing down to his former teammates from hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting turn of events there. Feel free to drop your comments, grounds crew, on your thoughts on the Dominguez acquisition and what's next. Obviously, we are less than 48 hours away from the trade deadline. And from what everyone is saying, the Blue Jays are in heavy on a lot of these options. I know it was just stated a day ago that Robert Suarez out of the Padres pen is probably available and has now taken Emmanuel Clase, who is off the market after the whole cheating thing with the Guardians and the betting stuff. He's kind of taken that top guy available. And it's interesting to see what the Padres are doing because you know what? Like Suarez and Dylan Cease are now on the market and they're after bats. They're a contender, they're a wild card team trying to bolster from areas of strength and kind of interesting. All right, let's dive into the mailbag. We're going to
Okay.
start with Patreon here, Adam.
Okay.
I start with this one because you know what? A little bit of levity and a little bit of common sense goes a long way. And so we're starting with Trevor. He goes, Jays fans, hold fast. He's got hold fast, all capitalized. This is a blip bound to happen. Could easily go 3-7 after this run, or even worse. In a way, it's helpful. We need ads. I heard too many fans saying don't add much and rock the chemistry, as if we would continue with Tyler Heineman historically chasing 400. That's all a load of bullshit narratives. We were on an unholy, unsustainable win streak, and that's good, but it ain't reality. Add all in capitals. And I'm with Trevor there, and you know what? This is the thing. If you've watched baseball for any amount of time, you're well aware that teams can go on these insane streaks like the Blue Jays have been on, right? Like in their last 30
Mm-hmm.
games, they had won something like 23, 24 of them. That's not really sustainable. No team plays 800 plus baseball throughout an entire year. So the other foot was bound to drop. And here we are. And you know what? The Baltimore Orioles always play Toronto tough. And this isn't an AL Central team, even though they're, what are they? 7 games under 500. They're still
Yeah.
playing every AL Beast team 13 times, right? So
Mm-hmm.
maybe this team in the AL Central's right there with the Guardians and the Royals hovering around 500, and they played Toronto very tough. The last game here, we're literally podcasting right before it. We're going to release this after the game, so we're not exactly sure how this final game of the 4 game series plays out. Hopefully, there's a
Hopefully,
decent
there's a
one.
trade that we're totally not talking about, and you guys are fucking furious. How are you guys not discussing the Joe Ryan trade? And
Yeah,
we landed Mike Trout. Why aren't you guys talking about it?
yeah.
This
Well,
happens. What do you do?
this is exactly how things go. Exactly. So, it's going to be interesting, man. Sticking with Patreon here.
I agree with that comment. I just want to get that out there. That
Hmm.
like, if that's the silver lining, glass half full, however you want to like tease us about having that take of like, sometimes losing is good. This is like kind of well timed, I guess. Like you lose Springer, you lose Kirk,
Yeah.
and then he gets slapped in the mouth a little bit, and you're like, oh, little bit of a wake up call. Like everybody was worried about, oh, don't rock the boat, don't you don't want to mess up their locker room chemistry. But then there is like a little bit of a wake up call of like, oh yeah, we were just gonna bank on all these guys staying healthy
And
and
hot
nobody missing
forever.
time
Yeah.
and being white hot. Yeah, like Okay, yeah, like I know a lot of commenters and friends I've talked to that have said just add in the bullpen. Don't do
Mhm.
anything crazy. Don't overspend for a starter. Like we got good starters. They're good enough.
Strong disagree. I mean, I agree we have good starters, but go get one more, right?
Yeah,
Like
like
overspend. Do whatever.
hopefully Springer's back after he's out of concussion protocol or whatever it is. But like, yeah, if this had been, oof, I guess where our injuries have happened with Kirk and Springer specifically have been kind of like areas of strength in the first place for us.
Mhm.
So they haven't even like we kind of have dodged a bullet in that. Like for one, they're not, don't seem like long-term injuries, which is
Yes.
good. But also like yeah, with Heineman chasing 400 or whatever he's up to, like I'm looking at his game logs. He's I think played 6 of the last 7 games for us, and has put up a 353 batting average and a 979 OPS uh, in those 6 games. So it's not like Kirk's out, Heineman's in full time, and now the wheels have fallen off. Like it's not Heineman's fault. We've gone, you know, 0-3 so far against the Orioles, right? Like we
In
have.
fact, Heineman has done nothing but hit the whole time he's been in the lineup the last 4 games. So it's kind
Right.
of wild, actually.
So, but like if it had been Barrios took a comebacker off his noggin and he's out, like these are good reminders that like, oh yeah, having enough isn't enough. It's just not. And
And you
so
know
I
what?
agree with this commenter that like we got to go add, we can't just sit back on our laurels and be like, okay, well, chemistry's good. We don't want to rock the boat. Like, no, rock it. Let's go. Turn that engine on.
This was bound to happen, by the way. And you know what? It
Inevitable,
does
yeah.
feel it does feel a little bit like a perfect storm, right? Max Scherzer had an incredible outing on Sunday, giving up a long ball and 3 hits. He had 11
Uh-huh.
strikeouts. Like really, they were 3-0, and I think the team felt like they could have won that one. So there was the letdown there. Then you go to Baltimore. You're playing in extreme heat. You're playing 3 games in almost 24 hours. It's crazy the amount of
Yeah.
baseball that they
A
have
lot of ball.
played in the last like 48 hours, even. Right. So that happens. Then you have the fact that, and we're going to touch on this real quick, but Chris Bassett, if you look at his numbers, and I do think that there's a little bit of a coincidence here. Some people might argue and be like, you just got to keep Chris Bassett out of the rotation when he's on the road and crazy
Right.
thoughts like this, right? And like I know that if you go on Twitter, there's some real um reactionary reactions to what has
Yeah.
happened. But Chris Bassett hasn't pitched very well on the road. He's been a literal demon at
Mm-hmm.
Rogers
At home.
Center at home, but he has like almost a 6 ERA on the road. So this goes well into our next Patreon question, which is from Jeffrey M. He goes, do we need to start trying to keep Bassett from ever starting games on the road? LOL. Jeebus. With the way things are going, do we give up Varsho to get the pitching we need? Of the kids who are the odd man out in the outfield, Roden and Robertson. Now, Robertson, he might have just missed this, but Will Robertson is now a Chicago White Sox. Unfortunately, he was placed on waivers and a trade was worked out for him. And finally, if we have Stefan, so Cal Stefan, or Steven, I should say, and Roden, Martinez, and maybe Will Wagner in trades, we should be able to get what we need. Given their trajectory, I do all I can to keep Tiedemann, Yasavage, Barriera, and Namala. That's our future. So let's start with Varsho. Do you give up Varsho for pitching?
I mean, this is a dumb question. Like, he's just so not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I can't.
It's not a dumb question. I get the spin here because Varsho has been
Sure,
out.
in that there's no such thing as a dumb question, but
I know Blair and Barker's been pushing this a little bit, where they are talking about do you give up 1 year of control of our show and the fact that he's been out all season and they're still where they're at? Do you need him? But I'm
okay.
with you.
So,
I don't
first of
think it's
all,
happening.
okay, it's there's the do you do this, and there's the will the Jays do this? Like, I just have a hard time discussing trades that I just know are like a 0% chance. Like,
Yeah.
imagine what you could get if you just traded Vladdy right now. Like, okay, what does that get us? What are we doing here? That's not a dumb question, but it's also like, I'm shocked Blair and Barker are spending time on it.
Yeah.
It's,
Especially Blair was even like, and I love Jeff Blair, by the way. I know people are gonna just hate that I just said that, but um his thing was like, if you can get a high leverage reliever with control, do you give up Varsho? He says probably. And I know this isn't how the front office works, and it's how no front office should work. But if you wind up giving Varsho up for a bullpen piece, I mean, we watched what happened with Eric Swanson and Teoscar Hernandez, right? Like you're
yeah.
really on this like dangerous route of a complete revolution with the fan base if things don't work out. And I know that's the least of their concern, and they're not worried about the fans. And you look at Dalton Varsho and the amount of time he's played with this team, and maybe you do feel that you can bolster an area of need from an area where you haven't got anything from this year. But I just can't see how. And again,
I don't think Atkins wants to move off from a guy he planted his flag in, gave up one of our top prospects to
that's
go
what
out
I'm
and
saying
get.
too. Yeah.
And then, so like that is one huge reason this is like a non-starter of a question. And then the other reason is with all the time he's missed, sure, when the few games he has played, he's finally shown some power in the bat.
He has
Okay,
8 home
sure,
runs in 24 games. It's insane.
sure. But it's a small sample
Yes,
size.
it is.
And the other side of that is we're not 24 games into the season, right? Like we're 100 plus games into the season. He's missed 3/4 of it.
Hmm.
The trade value on Varsho is about as low as it will be, plus or minus 3 years from now. Like it's so like I just don't understand the sell low on a guy you went all in on
Hmm.
to get a relief. Like I don't. It's no. There's I'm out on this topic.
Okay.
There's no dumb questions, but I'd
And
rather discuss what you could
if,
get for
listen,
Vladdy for Mike Trout straight across.
if Dalton Varsho winds up being traded by the end of this, we will eat our words
I'll
gladly.
stop podcasting if that's the case.
All right, moving on to Dunn Farming. He says Class A got put on the restricted list. Dot dot dot. I don't know if you folks even saw this, but Hector Gomez, who's very connected in the Dominican Republic, came out and said that it's not just Luis Ortiz and Emmanuel Clase. The league is looking into numerous pitchers in the Cleveland Guardians system, on the Cleveland Guardians team, I should say. And this whole betting thing, which is basically first pitch of an inning, you can bet on whether it's a strike or not. And you start piling up the video of Luis Ortiz and Emmanuel Clase, and they are spiking balls, they're throwing them high. They're just like it. You start to wonder, oh my God, like they are definitely, definitely doing this intentionally. So how many, and this is one thing that you and I were kind of texting yesterday, because I'm big on Stephen Kwan, and if they can pull that off, I would love that. But you were like, how deep does this run? Do you even want to touch a Guardians guy right now? Like, obviously it could be all individual, but also you brought up the Astros. You know what? Like these guys, man, like it's
Yeah,
easy, even if it's just within the bullpen. And then how much animosity is there from the guys who don't know, right? Like I would
yeah,
feel pretty cheated in that clubhouse if all of a sudden I found out my teammates, the guys I'm going to war with, are throwing pitches.
yeah. Yeah, I
It's
mean, there's
easy
so
to try
much.
and frame it as like, oh, it's one pitch, right? I'm sure that that's how Class A and Ortiz are kind of compartmentalizing this. But
Yeah, but also like I mean, you look at the data that player or that the world has on, what's Vladdy's batting average in a 0-2 count versus a 3-0 count, right? Like it's just, but they've got that for every count, right? Like
mhm.
every what sure, I guess when you say it's just one pitch, if my first pitch is a ball, I can still strike him out. I can still induce a double play. Like, okay, but yeah, there is like a percentage that your probability goes down if you start 1-0 versus 0-1. So like it's a significant pitch.
Mhm.
It's not the same as like, oh, it's a full count and I'm gonna walk them. Like now's not the time. I get it, but it is still like over the course of a season and over a career, like it does add up, and it would be frustrating as a teammate. Yeah, I don't know how deep it goes as far as is it just the pitchers? Does it extend to the players? I mean, I don't know what the players could do to impact that, but they could still participate as far as placing bets
Mhm.
or communicating with a cousin or a
Mhm.
brother-in-law. Like that's where my worry is on like we're only talking Stephen Kwan because he's been tied to the Blue Jays and would be
Yes.
a good fit, right? So I'm not singling him out here as like I think he's gambling.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm just saying like he's the name we're going to use because what would you do if you traded for him and then it comes out in mid-August that like, oh yeah, Stephen Kwan was sending texts to his uncle, and his uncle was placing bets on all these Class A pitches, right? Like,
I mean, the one thing that really stood out to me in the texting that we were doing yesterday is when you said, imagine had we given up Ricky Tiedemann and some other prospects for Emmanuel Clase a week ago, and then this
yeah.
was the news that landed, right? So like if you're an opposing GM and you were in talks with the Guardians front office, I would be very, very trepidatious when it comes to jumping in bed with them for a deal, right? Like
Uh-huh.
until this
I
investigation's finished, I almost wouldn't touch any of their pitchers.
Yeah, I okay, so I just before we went live, I was watching this morning's or it might have been yesterday's David Sampson podcast, and he talked about that specific topic. It's the sort of video I got to go back and rewatch a couple times because it was a little unclear the way he was kind of wording it and jumping it around. Um, but he had indicated the way that the MLB investigations would work. And so he's like a former president of the
Yeah.
Marlins, part of the ownership group or whatever, right? So as much of an insider as you could ask for their opinion on something like this. But he seemed to indicate that if that was the case, if somebody traded for Class A and then next week it was revealed he was part of this investigation and is now being suspended. I don't know if this is true or not. And again, I got to go back and rewatch this probably two or three more times. But David Sampson seemed to indicate that MLB would undo the trade
Ah,
retroactively, which
interesting.
seems crazy to me. So that's why I'm like, I got to go back and rewatch this because that feels like
It
a
makes sense
drastic
though.
move. It
Like
does
it's
make sense, like if it's part of like a fraudulent thing, and if MLB was invested. Now, I don't know what the stipulation is and where you draw the line in the sand of like, well, we weren't investigating this guy at the time of the trade. Now we are.
mhm.
So this one gets undone, the other one doesn't. Like,
That's
I
interesting
don't
though.
know, right? Like if Quan isn't being investigated right now and the Jays trade for him, but then through the investigation of everybody else,
They figure this out that it
they
goes
go,
deeper
oh,
than they
there is
thought.
actually something connected to this guy. Let's look into him. Right. And if it turns out, oh, okay, no, he's not involved and the trade's good, or, oh
Mhm.
shit, no, he is involved and he needs to be suspended. Now we undo the trade. Like, so I don't know. It is just like a murky area. I have to go back and rewatch it, but you know,
This is going to be
anybody
so
that's
interesting.
interested in that, it's a very interesting topic, and it's definitely for people smarter
Grounds
than we
crew,
are.
drop your
So,
comments below on your thoughts on this whole Cleveland Guardians thing with Emmanuel
yeah.
Clase and Luis Ortiz, and how deep do you think this thing goes? It's going to be really interesting to see how the disciplinary actions come down and what it is, because you look at like Pete Rose and stuff betting, he was kicked out of baseball. Are they going to
Lifetime
be
ban.
are they going to be that strict with
I, th-
this?
I think you've got to be.
I think you have to be too, but how many pitchers are involved? Is this going to absolutely gut the Guardians? And if it does,
I,
I mean, it is what it is, I guess.
yeah, too bad, so sad. I think you got to burn it to the ground, and especially with the prevalence of sports betting, like
Hmm.
you can't blink during a Jays game without seeing an actor from Breaking Bad telling you to bet on something, right? Like
That's right.
it's just so you've got to refresh that in people's minds. Like I think we grew up in the 90s with it being like every rookie that was drafted, it was hammered into their head like you don't even fuck around with sports betting. Like it's
Yeah.
not worth it.
If you're gonna fuck around with anything, it's steroids, right? Like at
Right,
least
here's some
that. Yeah,
steroids to
that's right.
quell that appetite for gambling. Just
Baseball
inject
is
steroids instead.
fine with you cheating to improve your team. They are not cool with you cheating to make money on the side.
It's called respect for the game. Have a little. You know what I mean? No, but in all seriousness, like I think it is just like a little bit of a like maybe we're just far enough removed from the Pete Rose of it all that like people are like, yeah. And with it being legalized, maybe there is a little bit of a like, well, it's
Hmm.
fine. Now, there's been other athletes that have been caught gambling on other sports. Obviously, the Shohei Ohtani
Hmm.
stuff with his interpreter and everything like that. Um, Not necessarily but like betting on something you directly have your own input on
Yeah.
is like the one of the
Oh.
worst possible things you can do. And now, again, I guess it's not the same as saying like I'm gonna bet on myself to make a bases loaded error in the eighth
Yeah.
inning, or I'm gonna give up a home run and then throw like a 87-mile-an-hour fastball down the pipe, right? Like
Hmm.
it's not that bad, but we're really splitting hairs here now of like
Hmm.
defending a pedophile that sleeps with a 16-year-old and being like, well, it's not a 6-year-old, so it's not that bad. Like there's levels, but they're all bad, right?
Yeah.
um One's not worse than the other, but one is definitely worse than the other. I'm uncomfortable with this topic. Um, anyways, yeah, it's can we change the subject? Can you help me out of
I
this? I'm
like
spiraling
I
here,
like
Scott.
I like that this was you chose the metaphor and then you're like, you know what? I hate this.
This is why I stick to food metaphors. I get
Stick
teased for my food
Stick
metaphors.
to
You
the
can't go
woods that
wrong.
you know. Exactly. All right. We'll move on here just because also we do have a very bulky
A
mailbag.
shit
And
ton
I
to
know
get
that we
to.
did already kind of touch on this, so we'll kind of get through this one quick, but
Yeah.
Marcus G is a Patreon member, so automatically in the mailbag. Last mailbag question before the deadline. He goes, to what extent would you be willing to sacrifice 2026 for the 2025 playoff run?
All of it.
I ask because trading off the active roster might be what we need to do around a bidding war against superior farm systems. The most obvious fit would be a Varsho for Dylan Cease trade to add a ceiling raiser for this year, but you'd be giving up on an additional year of control rather than prospects. And again, I we both kind of touched on this already that we don't think Varsho's a guy that's moving. If he is, I could see it being for a difference maker like Dylan Cease, right? Like if you are going to give up a year of control and you are, as Ross Atkins, going to say, you know what, um, maybe we gave up too much for Varsho and now we're just going to try and fill an area of need. A Dylan Cease type is what you would want in return, I would say.
Um, okay, so for me, there are three categories of starting pitchers to go after. Dylan Cease is the worst of the categories that I'm interested in. Okay, now the ceiling we know. Runner up in Cy Young 2022, I think fourth in Cy Young last year with the
Hmm.
Padres. Nothing about
Great
what he's
pitcher.
doing. Sure, great mustache.
Yeah.
Nothing about what I'm seeing out of him this year says ceiling raiser to me.
Hmm.
Um, zero point 0.5 WAR on the season. That's not good. 4.79 ERA. That's
Not good.
fourth on our team,
Hmm.
right? Like, not saying we couldn't use him.
Yeah,
We
no, of
definitely,
course. Of
right?
course.
Like, he slots in right behind the big three at the top, right? Like between Lauer and Gary Gossman and Jose Barrios. And he'd fit on the team, but it's not a ceiling raiser, is all I'm saying. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, the ERA plus. So again, this is just like a quick metric, measure him against league average, 100 being league average. He's got an 88 this
Hmm.
year. So all this to say, broad strokes, he's objectively a below average starter. This is just for
This
me.
year.
Yes, but this is what we're
No, I
talking
know,
about.
Adam.
This,
I'm with
this,
you.
I know I'm not arguing you, but this is where I'm like, this is, he's in a category, right?
Yeah.
He's in a category that I'm just not interested in when the topic is how much would you sell the future? Like, how much would you sell next year for this year? Okay, Dylan Cease isn't part of that conversation for me. Like,
Hmm.
that's my opinion. Is no, I'm not saying he couldn't. Okay, change the scenery, bounce back,
Of
all
course.
this stuff, right? Do I think like he's I think 29, right? Like,
I would far rather, and this is also a risky move, but I would far rather, if you're going to give up that sort of capital and you're going to give up that sort of deal, I would far rather Alcantara.
this is my fuck yes, dude. Like, we rarely agree on stuff of this magnitude. You just fucking exactly piped one down the middle for me. This
Yeah.
is exactly what I'm saying. Is if you're going to get a guy that you're hoping is going to like rebound or whatever, or the upside's there, but he's not. Fuck, man, give me Alcantara all day. More control, younger. The ceiling is higher if he does bounce back.
Hmm.
You're gonna have to give up less to get him. Like I. So for me, it's like Cease is down here. Alcantara is, if you're interested in Cease, you should be more interested in Alcantara. And then if you're talking about who helps you this year, go get Joe Ryan. Like,
Hmm.
he's doing it this year. Like, you can fucking argue, oh, he's not Dylan Cease. He doesn't have the resume. He doesn't have the whatever. But it's like, okay, are we trading for a guy to help us win this year? Or are we trading for a guy's like name recognition and whatever, right? Like, Max Scherzer is our name recognition guy, but
Hmm.
we've already got one of those, right? But like, who's a stud that is studding right now? And it is a guy like Joe Ryan, who, by the way, has years of control. Fuck, would I ever give everything to go get Joe Ryan? There
I'm
is
in, I,
not a rock
yeah,
on this team I wouldn't move for a guy of Joe Ryan's caliber, what he's doing currently this year, and the control beyond this. Like,
the three
it
names,
checks off
Adam, at
every
that top
box.
category, the three names I'm interested in: Joe Ryan, Mackenzie Gore, Sonny Gray. Right? Like
Sure. Yeah.
if you're going to overspend, if you're going to throw your top prospects at a deal, if you're going to give up
Yeah.
someone like Varsho, and I'm not even saying that he's in that realm, but like, you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what,
put whatever one you want.
right? Like,
Namala, Yasavich, Tiedemann,
sure,
Manoa,
exactly.
whatever guys you want to throw out there
Yeah,
as your
those are the
cornerstone for the
three that
trade.
I'm
Sure.
all for, and I think that they help now and they help down the road. So we will move on here just because of how bulky this is, and we've got a lot to get to. But yeah, no, I think we're both on the same page there
Hmm.
that Dylan Cease is not he's not as tantalizing to me as maybe he is to some of others. And this is my opinion, right? Like
Yeah.
Adam and I have been full of shit many times on this show. So, take that opinion with a grain of salt. Moving on to our last Patreon question, our comment of the show here is from Mish. Always love to hear from Mish Beer. She goes, if it ain't broke, dot, dot, dot. Yes, starting pitching. or closer. Sure, bring it on. Make sure they aren't assholes. And I think that that is one thing that the front office is going to take into consideration is the personality of the person. How are they going to plug into the clubhouse? This is just due diligence that I think every team should make when adding. And
Mhm.
if we know anything about Atkins and Shapiro, it is one aspect of adding that they do normally consider pretty heavily. We have a third base masher. She's talking Barger, of course. Earn Dog is our elite utility guy. Agreed. If they package up anyone in a trade right now, it's someone who's not getting regular playing time, and I kind of agree with this. The two she mentioned was Alan Roden and Joey Loperfido, at least until we're back at full A-list strength, and then she's got in parenthesis Varsho and Jimenez. Yeah, I pretty much agree with all of that. Um, some people might push back on Joey Loperfido. I know he's on a heater since getting called up. I don't think he's untouchable. I think that he is absolutely a guy that they might move off of the roster if it moves the needle to the guy they're after the most, right?
Yeah, I for the most part agree, but also I would extend that to include Ernie Clement and Addison Barger. As much like I've become a big Addison Barger guy. I love what he's doing, but
What
if
would
he
you
is
need?
the
What would you need to move Barger? Because I'm almost at the point where I'm
I
like
know, I hear you. I know, man.
how do you fill
But
the middle of that order without Barger? Like with that Santander not doing anything right now, he's on the IL. And you know darn well 2 months ago I was like, yeah, Barger's value is at an all-time high. But I just don't think that this team is even would even consider it at this point. I think they'd consider Varsho far sooner than they would consider moving Barger.
yeah, I don't know. If you told me that, and this is real crazy talk, and I realize I just spent the first half of this episode saying, why are we wasting time on these dumb hypotheticals here? And here's a dumb hypothetical for you. Uh, if the appetite in Minnesota was we fucking are all in on Barger, you can have Joe Ryan, but we want Barger. And then in order to balance that trade, it was Buxton and Varsho were the throw-ins. Like,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know it's a stupid speculation. Whatever the case may be, like
This
I'm
is
just saying,
great fodder for the grounds crew. So
oh,
drop your comments. What would it actually take for you to consider moving Barger? I'm all out. I just
it.
I can't see this
I
offense being
know.
able to survive without him.
No. Okay, I think without going into specific hypotheticals, because I really hate doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Barger, I'm not looking to trade. I'm just saying if he's the deal-breaking piece to get something done, I'm not hanging up necessarily.
Right.
Like I don't I don't think he's unmovable. I
And
think
maybe you're right. I do think that this front office probably views him as the third baseman of the future at this point. But
and
I'm
of today, right? Like
and of
and
today.
of today,
And of
which
today.
but again, that's why he's got so much value, right? Is because he is getting it done at the major league level. He's playing for free, half a decade of control.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what it takes to get a Joe Ryan,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if we're saying, hey, you can have Namela and Yasavich, give us Joe Ryan, and they're going not interested,
Mm-hmm.
and we are saying we can't live without him or without Joe Ryan. Like if that's the decision we've made is that like he's our Jose Barrios of the future,
Yeah.
which isn't unrealistic. And if they're just not interested in the prospects we've got or they want someone closer to major league ready,
I can't wait to
then
read the comments. People are gonna fucking hate this so much.
I know. I'm not again.
I know
I
you're not
realize,
saying let's
and
trade
I'm not
Barger. I'm
advocating for
aware.
trading Barger, but I'm also saying if I'm looking down two timelines, and one of us is we get Joe Ryan and we had to give up Barger to do it, but the other timeline is we kept Barger, we don't have Joe Ryan, and Joe Ryan is fucking dominating for the Yankees instead.
Yeah.
Then yeah, okay, I'm gonna be okay with it, I guess. Like, you know, give me a true ace at the top of the rotation. We need it. Young, control. We April, we were talking about this is the oldest pitching staff in baseball.
Hmm.
Joe Ryan is a massive step towards solving that. Barger has shown great strides this year,
Yeah.
but also I don't know if it's sustainable.
We will see. I mean, if you were to just ask me what I think the percentage of them moving Barger at the trade deadline,
Agree.
we're talking
Also
like
very unlikely.
0.1%, right? Like we're talking one in 1,000. But
More likely to trade Varsho, really.
truly. All right,
Probably, you're probably right. I don't know
let's
what the appetite is for
let's
anyways.
go to Twitter, Blue Sky, and Insta. You can always DM us on Twitter at Walk Off
Yeah.
Podcast, the Walk Off Podcast on Blue Sky and Instagram. Got a kick out of this one. This is from, I think this is probably just a burner account. DM'd us last night.
Spot.
Vladdy is King 789222373 had the
Okay.
had the
Very legit.
balls to finally speak the truth. He goes, "This team sucks. I knew this shit was a mirage. If I know you guys, you'll sit around and make excuses and then praise Shadkins. This isn't even a team that's going to make the wild card. Losing four in a row to shit teams. Embarrassing." And he has embarrassing all capitalized. Um, well, first
Is
of
this
all,
Marcus Stroman's burner account?
his burner is
Uh,
Vladdy is king.
uh,
Okay, so let's start with Detroit is a very good team. So I
yeah.
know that I mean they're who everyone in baseball, the analysts, the talking heads are saying is the best team in the American League. So not a shit team.
Mhm.
Baltimore, we did kind of touch on this. In the AL Central, the Baltimore Orioles are probably a 500 team.
Yeah.
And they always play Toronto really tough. Listen, I've got some stats here too for Vladdy is King. This is the 1992 Blue Jays in August. So in August, the World Series champion Toronto Blue Jays went 14 and 16 was their record. They lost 5 of 6 August 7 to 12. They lost 6 of 7 August 19 to 25. They were blowing out 16-3 by Milwaukee and in the same series blowing out 22 to 2 and had a negative 41 run differential. Now, this was back when the trade deadline was August 31st. Then they bolstered at the deadline and won the World Series. In 1993, the Blue Jays in July were 12 and 14. They went 2 and 12 from June 30th to July 17th. They lost 5 straight twice. All of this to say, Vladdy is king. Maybe baseball is not for you, brother. Maybe you're just not built for a 162 game series. And you might just do your mental health a whole lot of good if you just lived and died with football. It's just more in your wheelhouse of how you watch sports. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
trying to come
a
across condescending, but my God, like, the best teams in baseball go. The Los Angeles Dodgers lost 8 in a row. You don't think that they're a contending team? The New York Mets went 1 and 9 in May. Like,
yeah, I mean, sticking with the football analogy, right? Like it is like we've done this before, right? Like 10 games of a baseball season is equal to like one game of a football season. So then one game of a baseball season is like half of a quarter.
Yeah.
of a football game. So it's like one drive. It's like you got somebody scored a touchdown on you, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this Patrick Mahomes is a bum. Like this team is garbage.
2.5 games of baseball is a quarter of football. So a 4 game losing streak isn't even a full half of a football game. And
Yeah.
you're screaming that. And listen, number one, I don't know when we sat and praised Atkins and Shapiro. I have said before that it is pretty impressive that they held the line and that they did have the wherewithal to sit down with their veterans over the offseason and kind of realign their philosophy. Obviously, the hitting philosophy has changed and the players are far more in line with what they want to see. We watched them go out and change their pitching development staff within the organization, and that has started
Hmm.
to we've seen some of the fruits of that labor, which is great. Like nothing is black and white in this world. It drives me nuts when you are expected to just take a hard line in the sand and never waver on that, which is such a silly way to operate with sports because things are changing all the time. So yeah, I mean, sorry if you're that upset that maybe we've said that Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins have done some decent things over the last 12 months, because they have. Deal with it.
Hmm.
We also were calling for their heads in April. So for everyone who calls us fence sitters or flip floppers, yeah, I guess so. I'm going to reevaluate my opinion as things change. So sorry. And as for this team sucking, fuck off.
All right.
Like, we'll move on. I got a kick out of this one. It's a lengthy one. I don't know if I'm going to read it all, but we'll dive in a little here. This is from Bleacher. He goes, "Hello there. It's been a fun season for a change. Like all Jays fans, I'm excited and hopeful for a good final couple of months, and winning the AL East would be awesome and completely unexpected. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but sometimes my glass half empty side takes over. One thing that I'm honestly worried about is that the success of this season will turn into a contract extension for Shapiro and Atkins. Should I concern myself with this? Maybe not, but I am concerned. It's been a decade of mismanagement and blunders, zero playoff wins, a massive overpay for Vladdy, and some bad decisions and questionable drafting development at best. This season is like a perfect storm of things going the Jays' way. Yankees aren't great, Baltimore's falling apart, Rays aren't raising, and Red Sox are meh. Jays are playing well as a team, and this team deadline better be good, and the trade deadline better be good. And I do think that they are going to go all in. Otherwise, I'm honestly concerned that a lightning in the bottle season will cause Rodgers to re sign these clowns, and we're in for another decade of mediocrity. With Rodgers willing to spend big money, it will not be time for mediocrity. Now, if they win the World Series, Rodgers can give them whatever they want. And I do like that he brought that up because you know what? I'm with you, right? Like, if you hate Atkins and Shapiro, and they bring us a World Series, I would hope that that is enough for you to put that dislike aside. I know it would be enough for me, and just embrace that they brought us something that is almost impossible to do, which is a championship to the city of Toronto. He ends it with, I recognize that this is rambling and waffling, but that is kind of how I feel about these two. I've hated them as management since day one, and I'm just not ready to give them credit for anything or want them to be around year after year. And this is kind of what we were just talking about, right? Is like there is no black and white. Have this front office failed in some things, such as player development? They absolutely have. Have they made some missteps? They absolutely have. Have they made some great moves? Yes, they have. They absolutely have.
Hmm.
And will this team winning get them a contract extension? Honestly, Adam, and I don't know how you feel about this, I think Mark Shapiro is going to be signed long term. I think that this Rogers Communications boardroom really likes him. I think that he is a corporate guy through and through and aligns with the way that this company operates. I wouldn't even be surprised if he's put at the head of MLSE and is literally the president of everything, right? Like, which is the old Kevin Lowe of it all for the Oilers fans out there, right? Promote him up. Don't fire him,
Yeah.
promote
The
him up and
Michael's
out.
the Michael Scott. Yeah. I mean, I can't argue with the idea that he's going to get promoted. Um, Atkins, on the other hand,
Yeah, Atkins on the other hand, and I know so many people, Adam, see them as a two-headed monster, right? But I really it's it's looking more and more like Atkins is on the hot seat and Shapiro's probably getting promoted.
yeah, to misuse the term, he's going to be the scapegoat. You know, he's the getaway goat.
Yeah.
Um, I know it's scapegoat. He is, you know, the one to throw under the bus so that the bus can then catch flight, you know?
Mhm.
I I don't know what the minimum is for Atkins, but I know it's high. I know that being the best team in baseball at the end of July,
Is
that's a tough sell.
irrelevant.
When you're in the hot seat in December and you're looking back on a season that didn't go the way you wanted, it's really tough after the way the last 5 years have gone to then say, yeah, but remember July 30th, how good we were?
I think Atkins' job is safe if they finish first in the AL East, get a division series. If they win the division series, I think Atkins is the general manager moving forward, probably for another 5 years. I think he needs an ALCS appearance, but I could be wrong.
What if it's a buy into the ALCS? What if they finish top two? What if it's Tigers and Jays?
Well, it would be a buy into the division series. So it would be you'd skip the wild card, and then the wild card would
Right.
play for the division.
Sorry,
So
you're right. I'm looking at that backwards.
yeah,
So you need a division win.
personally, I need a division win. Now,
Okay.
does
What if
Rogers
it's a what if
communication?
it's a wild card win that goes on a deep run though? Like what if they go to the ALCS or the
Yeah,
World Series,
yeah.
but they limp into the playoffs?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I think an ALCS appearance.
So it's all
Uh,
about playoff output.
it's all about playoff output. Grounds
Okay.
crew, where are you at on Ross Atkins? What do you need? Even and Atkins haters, please, like you're literally who I want to answer this question. What will it take for you to forgive Atkins for what you
That's a
feel
good
are
way of
his
putting it.
indiscretions over the last 10 years? What level do you need? Right? I know there's some of you that are probably like, I need a World Series win. But I think even those of you with that hard of stance will realize that Rogers communication is not in that realm. They probably just need an ALCS appearance, and they might only need a division appearance. So we'll see. But interesting question. Fodder for you all. Drop your comments below. Going to Blue Sky. Yeah, we're on there too. The Walk Off podcast. Toronto Jeff messaged, and this was yesterday, right between the games when Sir Anthony Dominguez was traded. He goes, "Is it mean to make Sir Anthony pitch, or have I gone soft? Looked good though." Eh, Interesting though, eh? For him to literally go
I
from
love
the
it.
I
Yeah, I
love
love it
it
when that
too. I
happens.
love it. It was very fun. It was very fun.
I can't hear Sir Anthony without thinking it's going to end in Hopkins, like Silence of the Lambs.
I love
Every
the
time I
name.
hear Sir Anthony, I think of
It
the
feels
actor
it
Anthony
feels like
Hopkins.
he's knighted, right?
Yeah.
Sir Anthony Dominguez, and then the
Yeah.
banner comes down, right?
Dun, 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 dun. That would be a great intro from him if he became our closer.
Yeah, he rides in on a donkey, right?
El Burro. Yeah.
Yeah, El Burro
Yeah.
goes full eastbounded down. All right,
Yeah.
move it. We are getting long in the tooth here. We're moving to YouTube now. We appreciate all of you YouTube viewers. Feel free to drop your comments, obviously. This one is from William. He goes, "Do not sell the farm. We want to be perennial contenders. We have no major holes, so step softly and carry a big stick. maybe shore up some pitching, but our top four prospects should be untouchable unless it's for an absolute ace. So, a different opinion than yours and I, obviously. I mean, we've been pretty vocal about sell the farm if it's going to bring you playoff W's. Of course, that's an impossible crystal ball to look into when you're making these deadline moves, right? If you already knew what this plus this equals playoff wins, I mean, then you just do it every time. But it's up in
Yeah.
the air. But I personally think that, yeah, if you're going to move prospects, this is the year to do it.
Yeah. I mean, we talked this a month ago, like if not now, then when?
Hmm.
What are you waiting for? It's, you know, you're hoping Yasavage can become what in theory you would be getting,
And Adam, maybe
right?
there
Like
is, yeah,
you're
exactly,
hoping he
exactly.
becomes Joe Ryan. Okay. I know Joe Ryan would be helpful right now.
Hmm.
I'm not sure Trey Yasavage at his peak, if he gets there, if the timing would even be helpful 5 years from now.
And that's
I know Joe
another.
Ryan would be helpful now. So that's where I'm like, okay, the thing we hope he becomes, he is, and it's useful now. What else are you looking for?
And maybe there's some recency bias here, Adam, in that we haven't, as Toronto Blue Jays fans, watched all that many prospects develop, right? Like outside of Addison Barger, like name a
Well,
real name.
Vladdy,
Uh,
Bo,
Yeah,
they were
no,
top prospects and they were 16,
no,
17,
you're
18.
right. You're right. It's I don't know why I just don't prospect hug. I just like I'm always on the side of just move them, but I know that and again, I'm well aware that that's kind of a short-sighted way of viewing things too. I know that if the Washington Nationals and San Diego Padres were to try and make that Juan Soto deal all over again, I don't think the Padres would do it, right? I don't think they give up Mackenzie Gore, CJ Abrams, and James Wood for a couple years of Juan Soto, but I don't know. It's easy to not win and then be like, we should have never given up those prospects, right? Like, again, the crystal
Exactly.
ball of it all,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah.
Moving to BNM Productions. He goes, this team has a shot at the World Series. When is the next time we will be able to say that? Back up the truck for Joe Ryan and Johan Duran and a hitter. And
Yep.
I kind of picked that comment because it's the other side of Williams' comment, and it's that like there really is a divide in the fan base right now as to how all in this team should be. And I mean, we're only 48 hours away, less than that, even probably 24 hours away from actually knowing the answer to this. And we're just gonna need to sit and watch the clock, see what comes in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as we record this, it's, I think noon
Yeah,
on the 31st. So yeah,
yeah,
about 24 hours away.
yeah.
Phone lines are going to get hot. That's for
Hmm.
sure. Yeah, I mean, to point to the Padres and say, oh, they probably regret it is, and you acknowledged, probably an unfair statement because it's easy to say, well, we didn't win, so it didn't work out. But anytime you're going for a sports championship, you're always probably not going to win.
Hmm.
Like just statistically, even if you make the playoffs,
Hmm.
you're one of 12 teams, right? So if everybody had a fair shake, you've got like an 8% chance of winning, and everybody doesn't have a fair shake. That's what favorites are, right?
Yeah.
The Dodgers, you know, Blue Jays,
Yes.
whatever, but it's still like, okay, as generously as you can interpret it, and you want to write off and say, well, the Diamondbacks might make the playoffs and have 0% chance. Okay, but they still went to the World Series however many years ago, right? Like those, it still happens. So
Yeah.
best case scenario, as generously as you can interpret it, the Blue Jays maybe have a 20% chance of
Hmm.
winning the World Series in one of the best opportunities we've had
In
in
years.
years. So if you can take your chances to increase it from 20 to 25%, that's a huge increase to increase by 5% from 20 to 25.
And this, Adam, is where maybe I do push back a little bit on Williams' idea of a perennial winner. I I know the Houston Astros exist, right? I know that there are organizations that have pulled that off. So I'm not saying I don't want that. Obviously, it would be incredible to always be a contender.
Mhm.
But also, sometimes you got to take your window, right? Like, look at the 2023 Texas Rangers. Like, maybe
Mhm.
there is something to be said for take the opportunity when you got it. You don't know the next time you're going to have it. So we'll see
Well,
how
and
this front office feels about it. But
where we're at, right? We're 7-ish years into the Vlad
mhm,
window, the Vlad Bo core that was supposed to be this big garage door window
yeah,
of competing, right?
contention. Yeah.
And this will be what our third playoff appearance, maybe in
Hmm.
that time. Um,
Fourth, if you count 2020.
sure, and you should. The
Yeah.
Dodgers certainly do. Um, although, do they still count it after they really won one last year?
Yeah,
Maybe
I
not.
think they do, but that's funny.
um, look at the Orioles, though, right? Like the Orioles are just the Blue Jays 2 years later. Like they're just following. Like when the we had all this optimism, and then it kind of came crashing down to reality of
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, Bo
2024.
and
Yeah.
Vlad, they're exciting, but it's still really hard, even with a good young core that's playing for league minimum. Still really tough to compete, grind through 162, make the playoffs. And then we were watching as we were on our downswing, watching the Orioles with their upswing, right?
Hmm.
Having their equivalent of our 2020-ish season where it was like, oh shit, everything's going right. We have a good young core. The future is bright. Look at all this, embarrassment of riches that we've got.
Hmm.
And now as we're swinging back up, the Orioles are swinging down. And it's like, oh yeah, the Orioles are kind of proving that that's how it usually goes, right? Is that like it is hard to just have a sustainable window of competing. But I don't know. You look at the Dodgers and you just think, well, it should just be the way it is.
Hmm.
Like, but they're the exception, not the rule. And
Couldn't agree more, man. I,
so
I,
the
this is,
next
I
CBA will be
personally, I
fun.
think this is the year to push your chips in. But
Agreed.
go ahead, grounds crew, drop your comments. Let us know where you're at on everything. This is a comment from Martin Rev. He was talking about when we were talking about does this team have an ace? So he goes, Gosman made a case yesterday. Of course, he was talking about him going head to head with Tarek Skubal and coming out on top. He pitched incredible. And Gauzy has that ceiling, right? He has that ability to be that guy. He goes, perhaps a Kansas City Royals bullpen of 10 years ago is the way to go. This trade deadline, a Barrios deal for a starting pitcher is always welcome, but man, Gosman has looked good and he looks inspired. And he does look inspired. He looks the most fired up I've probably ever seen him in a Blue Jays uniform, and he's hungry. But he's had ups and downs this year too, right? So I think he's on to something here when Martin says if there's that type of deal available, go for it. If not, maybe you do Kansas City Royals 2015 it and just have the strongest bullpen in baseball.
Yeah, I don't, as far as what do you do, who knows? I mean, the next 24 hours, like I'm literally going to have my phone plugged in
Hmm.
because I'm going to be draining the battery. Like it's going to be hot with all the refresh on
Yeah.
Google alerts I'm going to be doing for the next 24 hours is going to be exhausting. My wife's going to hate me for it.
Oh, and
Um,
honestly, for sure, we're going to release this right after the game today. And then there's probably already trades that have happened, and we're going to look like we're behind the eight ball. But
yeah, we traded Varsho for Quan, and then Varsho is immediately caught up in the gambling scandal, placed as a bet, and it's like, why would you do that? You knew they were under. And he's like, I don't know. It sounded like a sure. It was a lock.
yeah.
Clase said it was a lock. Anyways, but we're not going to talk about any of that. It's going to drive people nuts. It's exciting. We did trade for Mike Trout, though. I'm excited to have him
Yeah,
on the
right.
Jays. And the Angels took all of his salary, which is great. Um, no, the ace question though, does this team have a true ace? Is like, no, I don't think we do. Like, I don't think.
No, they don't.
I think ace, and I have changed my opinion on this from when we started this podcast over 5 years ago. For me, ace used to be your number one guy,
Yeah.
but I also grew up with Halliday was your ace. So like by default in my brain, I got hardwired to think, oh yeah, Halliday is our number one. He's our ace. I didn't appreciate it when we had it
Yeah.
that our number one was fucking Roy
Freaking
Halliday.
Halliday. Yeah.
So you just kind of take that for granted. I think you can't have an ace that isn't a Hall of Fame trajectory. Like a guy that is going to compete for Cy Youngs year in, year out. Like I mean, like a Randy Johnson, a Pedro Martinez, like a guy that just
Yeah.
isn't giving you 165 to 180 innings of 3 to 4-ish ERA is not an
Listen,
ace.
I think there's
He's
10 teams with an ace on it. I mean,
exactly.
the Dodgers
Yeah.
have three of them probably, but still, like there's
Yeah.
there's a third of the organizations in baseball right now with a legit bona fide ace. Can the Blue Jays swing a deal for one? Big
Yeah.
question marks.
Big question marks.
All right, let's wrap up on this. Quick correction here. Thank you to Mark Ryan for pointing it out. Longtime listener, Mark Ryan. He was wondering. So I think I had stated that the Jose Barrios trade, Simeon Woods, Richardson, and Austin Martin. I had said Austin Martin was the Blue Jays' number one prospect, and that Simeon Woods, Richardson was right around number 10. That was incorrect. Austin Martin was the number two prospect in the Blue Jays system at the time.
Okay.
Nate Pearson was number one when they made that move. And then the number Simeon Woods Richardson was actually number four at the time, not number 10. However you
Okay.
want to massage that, I was in the realm, and I still think that that's kind of the sort of thing you're going to need to give up to get a guy with a little bit of control who's a top end of the rotation dude, probably even more if you're looking at a guy like Joe Ryan. So, Mark, appreciate that. And we'll end on this. It's not even a question or a comment. It was just a stat that I saw. And this is teams' records versus 500 teams and better. So if the
Okay.
team that they're playing is a 500 team or better, the best team in the league against 500 plus teams is the Milwaukee Brewers. They're 34 and 23, 11 games above 500. The
Wow.
second best
That's really
team,
impressive.
the second best team against 500 plus teams is the Toronto Blue Jays. They're 36 and 27. They're 9 games above 500. So, yeah, we can sit around and shit talk the fact that they lost to the Athletics, the series to the Athletics. We can sit around and be upset that they're losing this series to the Orioles. But you know what? When they face a good team, when they face a playoff team, they come fired up, ready to
Yeah,
play. And
this is true.
I take that every single time. Is it disappointing that, yeah, sometimes they let down and lose to these shit teams? Absolutely it is. I'm not even defending it. But do keep in mind, everybody, 162 games. This is a sport that's about a battle of attrition. This isn't about overreacting to every single play. And I mean, you can be a fan any way you want. I'm not telling you how to be a fan, but stop blowing up our DMs with every little thing. Thank
Ah,
you to everyone who did contribute to the mailbag. If you didn't get on, please keep trying. Obviously, we are trying to vary the names as much as we can. If you are a Patreon member, you get that automatic Patreon bump, and we appreciate all of you. We got the
indeed.
Friday show coming on Friday, where we can really dive into what happened in the trade deadline. And of course, we're going to do our best to live stream tomorrow for a few hours right before the trade deadline. We actually have a meeting with our intern Matt, who's trying to get his live streaming knowledge up to snuff here. So hopefully you can drop in on YouTube and follow along a bit tomorrow. Thanks again, everybody. Quick reminder: Baseball Town, August 7th, live in person. Come nerd out. with the rest of the Blue Jays fans. MLB.com's Keegan Matheson is on the panel. We've also got Ben Schulman, play-by-play announcer on Sportsnet, and then Jesse Rubinoff with the Fan 590. Guys, baseball is the code for that. Save yourselves $5. I will put the link in the comments, and it's also in the description. Take care.